Al pie del Ávila majestuoso, a 920 metros sobre el nivel del mar, en un valle de verde geografía que se abre de este a oeste, surge Caracas, la capital de Venezuela.
And now, our feature presentation.
You are watching a master at work.
Go get some!
What's going on, fellas? My name is Rafael Chassin, and here we are with my co-host, Science Senna, because this is another episode of the Combat Club, because it is 100% extreme attitude, because in this club, we're born to fight anytime, anywhere, anywhere. Because right now, it is a perfect opportunity to say Happy Tuesday, y'all. And between for the last weekend, it was so much great because they have Canelo versus Crawford and Noche UFC, because not only Diego Lopez shook the entire world winning against John Silva, but also Terence Crawford, he became the new undisputed champion of boxing. So I just wanted to tell you, this been like a wild, crazy weekend for the combat sports. Make sure to subscribe to Capitán Rafucho on YouTube. Also, make sure to follow on different social media. And of course, make sure to subscribe to my co-host, which is the great one, Science Zenith. So right now, we are feeling good after this weekend of big combat sports events.
Yeah, we're absolutely feeling great. A bunch of fun nights, fights. You know what I'm saying? Both Saturday and then Saturday night. We had the Canelo fight, so good amount of fights to break down. Obviously a big upset that took place on the UFC court in Noche UFC. That was fun to watch. And of course Canelo and versus Crawford. So we got a lot to get into. So back over to Rafael and let's get it.
Oh yes, because right now it seems that Noche UFC it became like a hell of a fight coming up there. But I'm just like really sure because before there was like the translate to Guadalajara, but right now it seems that San Antonio it became the perfect night, the perfect ambient to see what are the got for the Noche UFC. But it seems that there's not gonna be like a really rough coming up there, which is wow. But first and foremost, I just wanted to tell you because there was like something that I was like getting really interesting to because there was Alexander Hernandez versus Alexander Hernandez versus Carlos Diego
The Diego
Ferreira.
fight, yeah.
Yeah, Diego Ferreira. But this is gonna be like a really important that everybody wants to know about like the future. And they just take a look at it some like at a punishment, but not only that, because even though that's compared like for the glitch power and speaking about like at Hernandez, because that was like getting the finish while he was doing like the last bit of ground and pound, and the referee should have stopped it like at a 3-4 punches like as sooner or last. But people is gonna maybe like at a one extra punch and give it like at every chance. But this one is gonna be so much interesting. But Alexander Hernandez, he became like a master of TKO for the knockout. I mean, he just went on full combat mode against Diego Ferreira, which is absolutely a role. And he called out one of the most winnable fight at the top 15. And I realized that everyone ranked lightweight. He was trying to fight the Rouge, Dawson, Rolfie. Also, there's Patty, but Austin Davis. But he just became like the great fighter. He just became at this point, and by knockout at the round number two. I mean, of anyone in the roster, I'll never expect Hernandez to have a career turnaround because people say this got a late stoppage, but it depends on the early stoppage. But he wasn't fully in his eyes in Hernandez because he had the chance because they can never agree to the stoppage. And he will just like over the last few months, I mean, to say that, oh, the Hernandez, Alexander Hernandez, it don't belong here, but he just proved the world. It now takes it a lot of time to get a title shot. I mean, this way went at a rapid pace, but I'm going to step it in because not only Alexander Hernandez became like so much powerful on the knockouts, but because the clinch attack, that was really surprised me a lot.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, like Alex Hernandez came into the UFC, didn't really go so well. He's on this win fight, then this losing streak, this winning streak. You know, in his past earlier fights, in the 2020s, you look into 2022s, he's taken a couple of losses in that year. He goes into 2023, he beats Jim Miller, then he goes and gets a couple of more losses. But now he's riding a 4 fight win streak, coming off of a amazing TKO victory, a white cross straight to knock out Diego. He just been in there with Chase Hooper, I believe. Chase Hooper was winning that fight until he wasn't. And then obviously he beat Kurt and he beat Austin Hubbard in a split before those two. So he's riding a 4 fight win streak. He's 32 years old, really coming into his own. You can see his veteranship in the octagon now. He's not this young kid that is just going to go out there and throw the game plan out the window. You know, he's a kid that's going to go and follow through on the game plan, and that's what you want. You know, as a coach, you want a fighter that is going to believe in him. He's going to believe in himself, and that's what he's doing now. I kind of liked him taking this fight on 1 month notice. You go in there, you get a victory against Chase Hooper. You're feeling good about yourself. You just got a knockout. Now you can take that chance of fighting more aggressive, which he did in this fight, and he gets a knockout. So now he's riding a 2 fight win streak, and he goes in there and he calls out. I believe he calls out Michael Chandler, if I'm not correct. And I just think that
Exactly.
blow your horses there. Michael Chandler is a 500 fighter, but at the end of the day, Michael Chandler is a power puncher, and he's just honestly, even though you're on a 4 fight win streak, I don't think you're. Well, that's why they need a fight. So good on him on who am I to judge? Good on him for winning the fight. He deservedly so made the most of his opportunity on the mic. And before you move on to the Kelvin Gastelum fight, I do want to touch on Santiago Luna. This kid came in
Oh, yes, Santiago Luna.
win streak, right? Going against Craig Lee, who's known as a power puncher, who's known to put people's lights out. Santiago Luna, man, he basically just stepped up to the moment, shined when he needed to shine, landed a nice left hook with follow up hammer fist. As far as the referees go through this whole chord, you know, you could see the referees kind of letting the fighters fight. It was a lot of unnecessary damage taken.
Mhm.
But to be honest, as violent as this sounds, I'd rather have unnecessary violence than early stoppages in my mind. But obviously we can talk about that when the time comes because there's some fighters where the heads is literally bouncing off the canvas and the referee is like, so obviously I get that. But moving on to Kelvin Gastelum fight, I mean, like, go right ahead.
Yeah, then speaking about like Santiago Luna, because I just want to tell you, I mean that he was really excited about his debut. He came back and then came like in a knockdown, and this wanted to this wanted to keep it everything. And after standing out early on the fight, that was very impressive to see if he could come better than this winner. But of course, speaking about like Kevin Gastelum, I mean, does anybody know that Kevin Gastelum? I mean, if they gotta use because first and foremost, he was missing white for this fight tomorrow, which is like at a 5 pounds, or would it be like at a five wins at the biggest zone one? But it seems that Kevin Gastelum, I mean, with so many victories, I mean, they need like at a pound for pound rankings, and they were just like he became like at a he became like at a so much greater this body but they just wanted to get like a winning. I mean, he took like an advice from Rampage. I mean, I cannot blame it at the game, but he always looked like the very aggressive because he had much hunger or power. I mean, he pulls out the banner than Jamal Keel, who's usually like getting the house, like at everything. But some people are built like everything for the heavyweights, but they give like an absolutely banger that I just see for the Gavin Gastelum. And for the game plan, that was like very, very because that is like they're not gonna loosen anything. I mean, there's like a massive, really massive at all. And the clinch power that I just still did it, he still got the dog on it. Because not only he became like the ghost for like the takedown, because he just needs to really improve. And over for the last fight, I mean, they're gonna be like really studied about like how they is gonna be improved. And he relies like on one punch power and it has the variance on plan B. And he crumbled it against Hermanson a few years ago when he just realized that he couldn't knock him. He started the same, but who know that it is got to stick it at the leg arm and throwing raw home run punches for like 10 minutes? That was like a strategy. But they need to get it started about like not only about for like the nature of the clinch power of Kevin Gastelum, but also they just wanted to see because it was against Dustin Sulfurs, which is from Lancaster, Pennsylvania. And he was like a very, very interesting in the Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, but he doesn't get involved much the power for the ground and pound and the clinch. And he just wanted to see like this is wanted to miss it of the weight. But at the end of the day, against all the odds, I mean Calvin Gastelum, they need to really start it. But everything with the more damage coming up there, and he knows it.
Yeah, I honestly think they should cut him. I don't think he's UFC caliber. I think he's a boring
Mm,
fighter. I honestly I don't like him missing weight. This is not the first offense. This is not the second offense. This is not the
yeah.
third offense. This is not the fourth offense. Why don't you get the Brian Battle treatment? You go and you cut the UFC cuts a Brian Battle, and Brian Battle is a much more better fighter right now than Calvin Gastelum. And if you really want to talk about Calvin Gastelum, like what has he really done than pull off these fucking boring decisions like and the people he's knocking out, like he hasn't knocked someone out since 2017, and that someone was Michael Bisping, and that was a washed up Michael Bisping. And the last person he knocked out before that was Tim Kennedy, and that was a washed up Tim Kennedy. And the person he knocked out before that was Nate Morcourt, and that's a wash Nate Morcourt. So you get the point. He's not giving us exciting fights. He's really boring to watch, and even though it looks exciting. It just there's no point. It just wasted space on the UFC roster. And I think of the UFC banner,
Mhm.
I think of the best and best. Should Calvin Gastelum go and perform in the PFL? Absolutely. I think he'll do amazing in the PFL. You can go and perform in one. But I just think like what is the point of like he's not someone I put on a pedestal like a Donald Cerrone or like a Destin Poirier. He's clearly not that legend. He's clearly not an up tier legend. He's clearly not going on any title run. He only's beating competition that he should beat. That's really shouldn't be in the UFC in the first place. What's up, Daniel and Ray? Thank you guys so much for being here. We did
Hey,
not forget
salute.
about you guys. So thank you. We really appreciate that. But like, who is? I mean, like, who is this guy gonna fight that is gonna make you feel like, oh, Kelvin Gastelum is going to go in here and knock him out. He's going to be someone that's on the verge of retirement or someone that has no experience in the octagon. I mean, like Kelvin Gastelum is 20-10 at this point. He's a 500 fighter. He's just wasted space. And I'm sorry to say, but I'm just sick of the UFC having favoritism. Like, fuck this favoritism shit. There's like Dana privilege is real and UFC favoritism is real. How you gonna cut someone with Brian Battle and you have this guy rating in at fucking 90, 190 something and still like, oh yeah, he won, so we're just gonna renew his contract probably. It's like fucking pathetic. Calvin Gastelum is not a UFC fighter. He's not UFC caliber, no man.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that because I
Mhm.
understand that Kevin Gastelum over the last fights, and I mean, like there was like really disappointed coming up there, but it seems that it's not that really fair because when it comes to like the training about like the clinching power and of course the strike power, I mean, they need to get improved. So I don't know what exactly about our athletes because they just wanted to try to hide it up. And then this is gonna be like a very sour at the beginning, but they just wanted to get not a fight about this. and they
And
know
yeah,
each other.
and for the fans real fast, for the fans that just cannot elaborate on wasted space. I mean, like
Mhm.
he's literally on the main court that's going to be watched by most the majority of the people. When that spot could have gone easily to the Luna and Lee fight, because Lee's a knockout artist that we have to question. Hey, is Luna really about this life? Is he gonna go in there and probably get the UFC jitters and get knocked out by Lee? That was a questionable fight to test Luna's IQ, and Luna passed that test. Beyond that, why is Tatiana Sawyer buried on this fucking fight court versus Amanda Lopez? That's a high level UFC women's fight, not till the top level, but that has implications of making a one contender kind of level fight. But yet that's buried because we have to do favoritism to Gavin Gastelum. It makes no sense. I want to see Dana White and the UFC put their news stories and their up and coming stories in the place to make a name and not have wasted space of Calvin Gastelum fighting Destin. Who the fuck is Destin? We don't care about Destin. I'm sorry, I'm just being honest. You know what I'm saying? Continue.
Yeah, I understand. I understand. But the last thing that I just wanted to tell her to say of what does it have the courage to see like Gavin Gastelum when you need like when you have a massive wedge advantage? I mean, it reminds me like a MMA version of Andy Reese. I mean, there's gonna be like so the way different than the big factor, but they can't even remember. But fighters are coming up overweight 59% of the time, which is I don't care. Then not really cutting, but I just wanted to tell like everybody else. I mean, Dana White, if you say this, I mean, Tatiana Suarez versus Amanda Lemos, they became like a great story to put on the main card because that's what the people say, not that one. Because, I mean, if they have a reason to see this, I mean, Tatiana Suarez versus Amanda Lemos, they should belong to the main card. And for the lovely God, please call Gastelum anyway. Don't ever think and try to make like 185 of this fight. He showed up with wearing a t-shirt like at a ceremony awareness, like a guy at the pool party, and he even thought he was just
It's like
embarrassing.
who
Our
has Mexican
profession.
blood? Yeah, who has
Yeah.
Mexican blood that we can call? Oh, well, it's let's call Galvin Gastelum. No, how about you go sign this fucking undefeated phenom? There's so much undefeated phenoms probably in Mexico that could make their appearance on a fucking Noche Libre court, like we did when we went to the Sphere. There's a lot of up and comers. And speaking of a guy, we'll talk about David Martinez a little bit later. But I want to talk about Rafa too, because Rafa ran out there with the whole world thinking Gordon's gonna go rock this guy up. This guy's 17 and for a reason, and boy did he deliver. So let's talk about that Jared Gordon fight.
Oh yes, between Jared Gordon versus Rafa Garcia, which he had the same name as a dude because that was like a hell of a banger fight. And I don't know because they probably get a 2-0, but I cannot believe that there wasn't a defender about like for the clinch right now. I mean, he just dropped it, chucked him conscious, and then ran down for the elbows. It was already cut in the bloody face. I mean, that was something like very brutal. And Jerry Gordon, he became like one of the most unlucky fighters ever because even the game like a chance to tap in. I mean, rather than taking like additional strikes. I mean, he can't even fight back. I mean, Jared Gordon, he can't even back. I mean, how many times they getting really knocked out tonight? Was just like that was like a very brutal knockout. But this is wanted to constantly overturn Krumber, but Gordon he doesn't have like enough speed to the type of this fist fight that is for this fight kind of made of. But this is going to tell you. I mean, Garcia looked Terry on the first round, and Gordon landed almost for the hard shots in round number two, and then comes out to the beat Gordon on the third round. When you get all the bouts through elbows and the counters, that was like a great read adjustment for Garcia because that was like an amazing fight despite his losing. I mean, Jared Gordon, he became like unlucky thing because Rafa Garcia he became like so much interesting that no one can say about it. And he's from Brawley, California, Mexicali, Baja California. I mean, he's very young. I mean, he knows exactly what he wants to do. And after that, because look at this resume coming up there. Not only he just won against Clay Guida and of course being pinchot, he's in Rage State, and of course Jesse Ron next Olivia. I mean, that guy is be like one of the most incredible prospects that I just see like in their entire life. And Rafa Garcia, the clinching is a great problem to see that because the clinch, it was like very scary for Rafa Garcia because this is wanted to give you like a very shot.
Yeah, I love it. You know, breaking down this fight, going into this fight, I was really making the hard choice in my mind. Is like you really see someone in Garcia coming into his own. He goes into the UFC, like Raphael said. He goes on this 0-2 a losing streak. Then he gets those two back. So now he's 2-2. He faces a tough level Klaus. When you look at Klaus's resume, Klaus is a top tier competitor. Then he goes on the 2-win streak, and then he faces Grant Johnson, and he gets knocked out with some ground and pound. Now he fights Vic, and now he's going against Jared. When I looked at his career, I'm like, you know what? This guy's losing in recent years, but he's losing against Klaus and he's losing against Thorson. When you lose against people of that high level of competition, that people that literally has 85% wins and like the resumes or top tier resumes, I really look at it and I'm like, oh my god, this guy is clearly going under like the radar. Like I'm not watching him. I don't think no one's really excited about him in a sense outside of his family and friends. And when you go with someone and you take out a fan favorite, which is Jared Gordon, because everybody loves Jared Gordon's story, right? Everybody loves the guy that was on drugs, that turned his life around, that started fighting professionally, and he's just a person unlike Calvin Gastelum that us fans we want to get behind. He's the kind of person that be like, Jared Gordon's a dog. I'm a ride with him. I compare it to kind of like a not into a psychopath kind of his spirit, but he kind of reminds me of like a Sean Strickland, kind of like, what? I just like this guy. For some reason, I just like this guy. And he's just a good guy. So I wanted to back him, but then you realize that, this Welfer guy is coming in with experience what this fight, I didn't choose anybody in this fight, but what this fight showed me after it was done is this Garcia kid, he's really coming into his own. He's 31 years old, and I can see in the next 4 years of him, if he really is serious about the sport, take it serious. And you lost against Grant Thorson, you lost against Klaus. Okay, but at the end of the day, if you can ride this momentum that you're on and go make something of yourself. Now, will Garcia be fighting for a title anytime soon? No. But could I see him hovering inside the top 15? Absolutely. Maybe not top 5 level, but certainly top 15. So go out there, try to reach the top 15, and just try to. I want to see these fighters go on these streaks, deservedly so. You know what I'm saying? When you knock out a fan favorite like Gordon, you kind of take some fans too. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Yep, exactly. Also, we got another fight coming up there, which is Rob Font versus David Martinez, and he just lost it completely. But between for like this fight coming up there between Rob Font versus David Martinez, I mean, sometimes it looked like Ross does the opposite what he wants because they wanted to slip left and they wanted to jock it, but he was like firing all the cylinders. And I never see though if I keep coming like for the too long after the light belt. But what was it? Because he just passed the first 10th. I mean, they have a new blood, a new top 10. But it seems that after this one, because they wanted to schedule between like Rafa versus Raul Rosas Jr., but it seems that Heather Whitray was replaced by Devin Martinez, and he just lost it. But David Martinez, I mean, he became so much very interesting that he can put all that is hard on the next rounds, which is definitely, definitely. And he just wanted to make it a prospect because I know that this is wanted to keep it like his debut already with this one now. But it seems that it's gonna be like an exciting because he had the smash, he got the goal. I mean, winning the actual hell, we just see a lot of this one. But I know, I know that David Martinez, he became like so much graded about for like the clinch power, but also what are the one that they say as sort of the referee, because if the referee just wanted to blood, he was able to give it a chance to be like something else. But I'm convinced that the referees will get someone killed in the octagon because that's just really the way to start off a UFC career. I mean, if Font, I mean, much love for the fund, but he needs to get improved with this wrestling coach. And Martinez was very down at the end, but also he looked very super well rounded, and he was really like honestly promising for any future fights. And it was like a very loud, so the referee didn't hear the bell. That was like really wild. But people aren't talking enough about like the ground and pound, the striking style of David Martinez. And he was like watching all the film studying, and he was like very experienced. But they're not trying to warn. They're not trying to warn because I didn't see that they need something like very energetic, very athletic. And David Martinez, he just found in detention. It was given somewhere like he became like the cyber psycho at the end, but he got the real juice. He fought very well. They're gonna be very proud, and he's gonna be a solid prospect. And I'm very glad that he just fell for Chewy Woods because he took like a hell of the ring, stepping it off, and it took all the way because they have the more some like on solid going off of the ground.
Yeah, well said, well said. Going over Martinez, like he going into the fight, he absolutely fought nobodies. If this fight was to take place above middleweight, I think it kind of could have gone differently just based off Font's IQ. But you could see in there that one thing was affecting Font, and it's called father time. Martinez was not the better fighter. He was obviously on that night, but he is a much more faster fighter. What I said going into the fight. Right now, what we've seen in the fight is he is the faster fighter, and he does have some fight IQ. Now, when you go against someone like Wild Font, who is literally not the Wild Font that we watched in recent years, you could clearly see the decline. Now, I'm not trying to take anything away from David Martinez's performance. Before the fight, I thought Wild Font was going to give this kid a slice of apple pie, humble pie. He didn't need it. He's not a cocky kid. He's been training for this moment. His sister fights, his dad fights. You know what I'm saying? It's a whole family event. But at the end of the day, it's almost as if like there's no way this kid's gonna just come in here and fight Wild Font. Wild Font didn't look like the 38-year-old his last two fights, and guess what? Father time caught up. So there's two things for Wild Font. Either you retire or you move to featherweight because I think you're too slow for bantamweight. You might even be too slow for featherweight at this point. So at that point, and it's going to be much more power at featherweight. But I just think I don't see him winning that much fights against level of competition that they should be fighting against. Seeing what Wild Font is going to be that he's going to go out like that Tony Ferguson. You know what I'm saying? Just be a gatekeeper and then keep on losing against a high level competition. Because if David Martinez, nothing against David, but if he's gonna outstrike you in speed and shit, I mean, like he just really showed he showed to be the old man in there. And then in the prime it would have been a whole better fight. But David Martinez didn't even enter his prime yet. Young up and comer. I wouldn't call him a prospect yet because it is only his second fight, but up and comer that could pull off a couple of victories and then become an up and coming prospect and then maybe become a contender in the future. Because if you look at his fighting resume, maybe not the best, but if you look at his fighting background with his family and then what he's about, this guy's been fighting since he was a kid, so he clearly knows how to fight. And those are the kind of people that we see nowadays. Your Chimayas of the world, your Ilias of the world, they're dedicated to the lifelong passion of the sport. Okay. Hey, I didn't just start boxing after high school. Nah, I was in the gym at the age of 5. You know what I'm saying?
But yeah,
and David Martinez is those type of kids.
Yeah, and I would love to see like really because every prospect that I just wanted to watch like the UFC, I mean, they just wanted to make a clear statement because I understand there's a brand new generation of UFC fighters that just wanted to keep it all because not only just wanted to improve like the wrestling style, but of course the game plan just wanted to do about it with the punches and of course the clear jab, the uppercuts, and of course like the submission coming up there. I mean, I love the fact that there is a lot of new prospects at the UFC who make like a clear statement, which I definitely love it. And they just wanted to see like more victories coming up there. And I just wanted to love it.
Yeah, and I'm sorry to cut you off, and I love it too. I love these prospects, and I love these prospects becoming contender. We just seen a prospect become a contender in Van. Now he's fighting for a championship. But also, it's almost as if shout out to Van. Kind of feel like it's not like the heavyweight division. The heavyweight division, you're getting a title shot so fast. So the women's division, you're getting a title shot so fast because there's not that much competition in that divisions. when it comes to the lower weight bantam and flyweights and featherweights, there's so much competitions that sometimes the UFC they rush prospects. It's like Steve Usyk wasn't even a contender when he fought Alex. He fought Alexander as a prospect. He had two notable
Yeah,
names in David and Matt. Before he that's two names that were not really like, oh, like let's like Matt 17-9. You know what I'm saying? And like and I'm not trying to diss Matt, but like and David's record is 22-6. So David obviously has a better record, but like and but it's like who is David fought? You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, when you rush prospects like Steve Usyk, then it's like rushing the NFL. Like it's like a Giants fan rushing Dort off to the field. Nah, let Russell Wilson control that offense first. Sorry, not to make it about football, but sometimes when you
exactly.
rush these prospects, they're not ready for the moment. Another guy that was rushed because of the hype was Diego Lopez. Diego Lopez wasn't ready for the moment. Speaking of someone that I'm not trying to be a dick, but wasn't ready for the moment, was Philly Silva. Silva wasn't ready for the moment. So let's go right ahead to the main
Exactly,
event.
exactly. So we're going to main event right now because I know and you know about the main event of Noche UFC between Diego Lopez versus John Silva. And I love the fact that Diego Lopez just steal all the attention just beating John Silva. And I just wanted to tell you that Diego Lopez not only he really shot the entire world because that was just like very crazy. And definitely is one of the biggest dudes out there. He can take huge shots after the last two fights but against probably the fastest strikers on that division. And I can see why Diego Lopez just beat so bad against John Silva because he can really sooner or later because right now his punching style, I mean, that was like everything. I mean, they have the best additions to the roster because they all love him because that's going to be like one of the best fights, and they just completely out of control. And I was like, every time the Lopez get his hands on Majan to take down, always lands because I believe that he was improved about his defense because you can't take many clean shots every fight, or you will lost in the sport, not the top of it anyway. But he came on face and smiling everything that John Silva had because he got under John's skin and was living in his head rent free. And then one with the elbow, the spinning elbow that was slowing all of the fight. That was really awesome. I mean, to do it Noche and the fans adopting home under in the process is just completely badass. Because and there's another thing, we just had to do it, but Jean Carlos Rufi doesn't have the grappling to contend in the life of the division. Carbolayo is the only thing that the fighting nerds who has the best grappling, but is not very athletic enough to really implement. So John Silva needs to work it off his grappling style, but they just wanted to talk it about everything. And the underdog is still anything. I mean, that was just like a perfect photo finish. The first round coming up for Lopez, I mean, Lopez, he became cooking very good. I mean, I know it's gonna really hurt, but this is like the most insane end for a fight ever. And that was like an absolutely ass kicking for a fighter like for the fighting nerds. I mean, he turns out that he's trying to hit the opponents to the back of the head after he loses, but they can really bounce it back. I mean, he just got like the Pico stand before entering the octagon and went off with the same weight. I mean, Diego Lopez is a great beast. And I feel like after the fight, I mean, I feel like if Silva was more careful about this pressure, he couldn't find the shot because they tried to like enforce it. I mean, they so really emotional because Silva got destroyed because they need like a bit more humble. But I understand that after we just saw like a lot of things coming out there for the fighting nerds, I think that after John Silva lost, I mean, it's gonna be like another redemption coming up there. I know it's very hard to see like part of the fighting nerds losing fights after fights after fights after fights, but they need something to take trend of it because they need to improve not only for the grappling but also the striking. Because if they need to watch some film studies and train a lot of more, that could be completely different. And Lopez is a beast, and there are some levels about it. And I think that they're coming back better. And that was like very excited, but they never disappoint. Obviously, that was like a real fun to watch. But they can just let Silva throw straight to the face with zero attempt to reflect with his head because they streamed it. And I hope this right now, they're gonna be like this could be like the fight of the year because Diego Lopez is such like a straight badass. He took enough guns to beat one of the fighting nerds, John Silva, but I understand that I just John Silva, but they need to recover. But I think that Diego Lopez is getting ready, not only for the title shot, but also he wants something more to get involved with the division. And I think that Diego Lopez in that division, it could be like something like a great blessing.
Yeah, honestly, it was a fun fight to watch. You know, 18-0 fighting nerds, coming up really, really promising. And then it's like a knockout artist fighting all these guys in the regional scene, getting all these knockouts, and he reached a level in the competition where, hey, these guys are not getting knocked out from my punches. There's levels to this shit. And every single fighting nerd got humbled. And I loved it because of the fact it's going to make every single one of them better. GSP wouldn't be the GOAT if he didn't get humbled by both mats. You know what I'm saying? We all can't beat Khabib. We all can't go undefeated. That guy is on another hemisphere. You know what I'm saying? Every great champion gets humbled. You know what I'm saying? And it's how you come back from being humbled. And it wasn't that they were cocky. It's just that they were riding a momentum that we haven't really seen any team ride since early day AKA. You know what I'm saying? And if you really think about it, they showed us like, hey, they're not like we wanted to always put a stamp on it, like, man, they're like this high level crew, kind of like Shoot the Box. But they showed us that they're not at that level yet. Shoot the Box produces world champions. The Fighting Nerds is an up and coming gym. Remember when the New England Cartel was just kicking everybody's asses, and then the New England Cartel kind of was like, hey, as you kick everyone's asses, guess what? You're gonna get better people to fight. And I just love it because it puts us in so much different ways. I know he's didn't fight on this court, but he just lost his fight against Imov, right? Well, now why don't you put the leader of Fighting Words in the ring against Izzy? You know what I'm saying? That's a good matchup. I'm just looking at all these matchups. But getting back to the Silva versus Diego fight, there's a lot of times in that fight that I'm like, you know what? I actually picked Silva. I actually picked Silva to lose. I actually had a ticket where Diego won for me. But like at the end of the day, it's almost as if like I just thought that Diego coming off of that championship fight kind of was like, you know what? I'm not gonna let that happen to me again. I think the whole focus was on Silva as like this guy that was just gonna go in there and do damage, and the biggest competition he fought was Bryce Mitchell. And when I looked at it, it's like Bryce Mitchell ain't the Bryce Mitchell we thought Bryce Mitchell was. And then we go and you look at Diego Lopez's resume, you're like, damn, this is gonna be I don't know why everybody's like 80% was leaning Silva. Ends up there's a lot of blows in that fight, but I thought was almost illegal because he almost got the back of the head a couple of times, but he did. But it's in the video of Silva where he got stitches. But I love that Silva is a guy. He's a really nice person. I never met him personally, obviously, but like just hearing stories about him and hearing his talks, he really is a good guy. And I really do want to see this guy rebound from this. I do want to see this guy pick himself up and have this be his only loss ever. Have this be the last loss of his fucking career. But looking at the fucking division that is clearly stacked, this is what I want to happen. I honestly think Murphy deserves his title shot, and I do think that Morzor deserves his title shot after that. So even though Silva did in incredible fashion, I wouldn't say fight of the year because I still do think that Van and Rovell, that should be fight of the year because that fight was fucking unbelievable, and this fight was mostly one-sided. But I just think that I have a perfect matchup for Silva. I think Diego should just Diego. I think Diego should just become right now a prize fighter at the moment and just wait on the championship fight because I think that obviously Leon Murphy deserves it and Mozart injured. So I think this is what should happen. I think Diego should be a prize fighter and fight Aaron Pico.
Yes, exactly.
Because I think Aaron Pico and Diego will be a fucking phenomenal fight. I think that'll put people in the seats. And I think that should go on early next year. And I think Max Holloway should be in that court because Max Holloway wants to come back. So I think we just have a fucking court of explosive fighters.
And yes, exactly.
I honestly think that Murphy in that division should get the title shot. And I don't even think, honestly, like, I don't care what anybody says. Buena fucking not. Fucking Ball got the title shot and won. So that being said, he doesn't have the title no more, obviously. But like, shout out Jack Delamenio. But like, I don't care what anybody says because Mozor beat Diego Lopez and Mozor is still undefeated. So I'm not gonna be in a fucking world where Diego Lopez gets 2 championship fucking opportunities before Diego gets 1, injury or not. There's 2 fighters that I don't care. Like, do I think they're gonna win? Do I think they're good, exciting fighters? No, maybe not. But do I think they're deserving of is Arman Sharukian and Mozar Ilovov? Give Ilovov and Sharukian your fucking title shots to just get them out of the way, and then we all know. I mean, like, I don't know about you, but I say Leon Murphy owns this division in under a year and a half. And speaking of the lightweight division, I mean, like, that's Ilya's division until he chooses it. It's not. So that being said, though, back over to you. We got a boxing event to cover real fast.
Yeah, and I just wanted to tell it about to see that Diego Lopez is probably one of the best signing for the over the past 5 years. I mean, it's so cool to see like a great guy become like a star purely based on a performance and the post-corner arena when everyone is trying to talk shit. But it was like very tolerant, and very resistant, and he was like very on point. And the proof is that Diego Lopez, he became something like very excited to see him because because he seems like a straight up dude. I mean, he just wanted to tell you because they have gone very, very very far as to become humble and laid back. He just can't with anything, but they have a personality that never disappoint. I mean, now they're gonna do about it. They need to really work kind of on the ground game and the motion because they had a good shot on the feet, but it seems that they get some a really good time, but they actually stood on this business. I mean, they just came here to say this is the type of fighter that people love. It's just like a Charles Oliveira, but more charismatic in the sense that he doesn't appear a lot of the cameras, but he just seems that I feel like really, really great that Diego Lopez, he became more athletic, but of course, he wants to be like the face of the MMA for over the next few years.
The kid's a fucking superstar. You can't deny it at this point. I mean, like, what he did to Silva was just basically say, hey, don't forget about me. I was the person that you guys are just loving. I was the person that you guys are just cheering. It almost seemed like the whole attention was on Silva because of that streak he was on. And Diego had to remind us, like, hey, motherfuckers, I'm still here. And I honestly think Diego beats Alex if there was never a fight again. I just don't think he beats Leon Murphy. I think Leon Murphy handles business, and I think Leon Murphy gets the title against Alex. And I think we get an undefeated fight between Leon Murphy and Mozor. And I honestly think Diego is a game competitor for the winner of that fight. But that being said, I mean, like, I love how he won a championship before he was even a fighter in the UFC, in a sense, because he was the wrestling coach for Grasso. So to see this guy, you know, help one of his teammates win a championship, then sign to the organization, and to see this incredible ride he's been on is absolutely, you know, I'm loving, you know, there's times where, like, you look at, like, music, right? And I look at rap music, and as much as I love rap music nowadays, I kind of miss rap music when I was growing up. And I'm not trying to be old here, but I'm like, dude, rap was kind of better. But you ask people before me, they're like, nah, but rap was better in the 80s. You know what I'm saying? And rap was better in the 90s. And rap was good in the 80s and 90s. You know what I'm saying? But, like, I honestly say in MMA, it's like, this is the only thing where I kind of feel like in basketball, in NFL, like, I can still name players like Megatron and players before that, like Jerry Rice, and in basketball, like Allen Iverson, and then, you know, you can go the evolution and there's comparisons. But with MMA, the sport develops to a pace where, yeah, I love it because all these new up and comers, with Shamaya, with Ilya, with Diego, with Shakarat, with Jack, with Islam, with all of them. It's almost as if like this generation, bro, you put them in a time machine, bro, they'll kick everybody's fucking asses in the 90s and destroy people in the 2000s. You know what I'm saying? They'll throw some shit that Chuck Liddell would be like, oh my God, you know, like where the fuck is that coming from? You know? And Chuck Liddell was a legend, obviously, but like just the evolution of the sport. And you can't tell me that ain't nobody in, unless you're a legend, unless you're cream of the crop, ain't nobody's matching the fucking 15 in 2008. Ain't nobody touching the fucking 15. Like Lyoto Machida, if he was fighting right now, you know what I'm saying? All these old heads, Shogun, like you're not trying to be me. Rampage would get leg kicked and then be fucking done real quick. You know what I'm saying? It's amazing to see, bro. The evolution of the sport is amazing. And it's just awesome.
Yeah, we just see like a lot of evolution coming out of the combat sports, but also there was one event that everyone just wanted to talk about it, which is not only is the Noche UFC in San Antonio, Texas, but also there was Canelo Alvarez versus Travis Crawford, and I just wanted to tell shout out to the G Nation Inside Sports because he just made like a great live stream about like the fight of the year, the fight of the century, but I could believe because Terrence Crawford has been slicking enough after the weigh-in is not playing some crazy factor, but winning the majority of sign for the head changes. I mean, that was just standing right here in front of Canelo, in front of Las Vegas at the Allegiant Stadium, because that was like literally the best case scenario. And but he was still like giving the work, but also he became like at a power punches like America, the bad level. They got used to it. I mean, he doesn't need like a more power punches. He need like more activity. But that was like a very all-time performance by the Bod. I mean, merciful. He completely neutralized Canelo to the point that he was like look frustrated. He turned it away, side off his entire body because he was like very frustrated. But it took like 38 years. But he was like a very special. He's like a skilled boxer right there. Then probably won't want to see like a fight against Ilya if they want to, because they wanted to see like a more excited because the emotion they can hear on Las Vegas. I mean, they have so much strong fundamentals. He warped it out of the jabs, set traps, had the power to continue to handle well against Canelo, but basically he just fought like with heart and soul, and they give like a lot of strategy they need to the game plan, finding a genius like Crawford. And there's all we had to do about it because they just really excited to give like an historical great fighter where he did something that literally never done before. And that was like very emotional. He just found the fight brilliantly. And that could be like some like the X factor coming up there. And literally we can see anything.
Dude, absolutely, man. Shout out Nebraska, bro. Nebraska stand up. Crawford put them on the map. They was on the map before that. Crawford was clearly the pound for pound best before that, but it needed to happen, right? I'm nothing against Canelo Alvarez. Obviously, respect him as a fighter. He only lost against, I mean, like now, if you think about it, the weight class above him, that guy beat him, Floyd Mayweather, and then Crawford. So if you really think about it, there's nothing to hang your head on. He was clearly one of the best boxers of all time. But shout out to Terrence, man. Bud Crawford did it. He didn't work. Now I'm not gonna sit up here and act like I fucking watch boxing, but I do watch boxing when it comes to fights like these. This was an amazing fight from round 1 to round 12. I love seeing it. Now I did predict Crawford to win. Did predict him to win by stoppage, but it just goes to show you the heart toughness of the Mexican in Alvarez. Now, when it comes down to Ilya, shut the fuck up. You don't know what you're talking about. There's levels to this shit, and you're not a star yet. So, as much as I respect Ilya, it's boxing. You know what I'm saying? It's different. It's like this guy been training this one specialty his entire life. And yes, you've been training it too, but there's levels to this shit, and I don't even like boxing, and I'm conscious enough to respect it. But that being said, though, Ilya, go out there and get a couple of more fights, become a bigger star, become a level where he can't deny you. Because what does this do for Crawford? This does nothing for Crawford. You're not a draw right now for Crawford. As much as Crawford respects MMA and all that kind of jazz, you're not a draw. As much as us MMA people feel like Ilya is a superstar, Ilya is not the biggest star in his sport. He shares that limelight. When Conor McGregor fought Mayweather, there's undeniable that Conor McGregor was the biggest story in the sport and is still the biggest story in the sport, because casuals that don't watch the MMA know who Conor McGregor is. Casuals who watch MMA don't know who Ilya is, and just have to be honest. He's big in Spain, he's big in his territory, he's big with us hardcores, he's big with MMA fans, but outside of that, it's like when Conor was fighting, ESPN couldn't help but cover him. When Ilya is fighting, there's some fights where ESPN didn't cover. You know what I'm saying? So make yourself undeniable. Win a couple of more fights. Now, if Ilya comes in there as a 3-time champion after beating Islam and something crazy like that, and now you're a super fucking star, and now you are the biggest name in MMA, and like you are solid, just undeniable. Yeah, go right ahead. I want to see it. But right now, it's like, let's just keep the sport separate. I think there's so much matchups that Ilya could make a legacy for him, and I don't want to see no crossovers. I just kind of feel like go make your legacy in your own sport, because Crawford did it his own sport. Crawford's the best combat fighter on the planet in his respected form of fashion, and he did it out of Nebraska. And I don't like this no, who cares? Like, just keep it separate. Ilya, you focus on MMA. Crawford obviously is going to focus on boxing, and dude, maybe in like 2028, if Ilya is still undefeated and he wants to retire from MMA undefeated and he wants to move over, but by then Crawford would be kind of 30. Crawford would be old by then. I think Crawford would be 38 if he's 35 now. He's 37 now, so Crawford would be 40. So at the end of the day, it's like, I don't even think this fight would ever happen. Everybody talking about this fight happening, and they're just talking in the media and obviously just making content. I loved it. I was actually gonna bring this up too, but you brought it up first. But 42-0 prime athlete. Shout out to Crawford. Shout out to him and giving him Canelo back his belts too, because obviously he's gonna get his custom mades, and that's Canelo lost the belts, but that's his belts that he won when he won. So he's gonna hang those belts on his wall, obviously, and that's his belts. But like Crawford. Shout out to Crawford, man. Shout out to you, Raphael, for this great episode, man.
Yeah,
shout out to you guys in the comments too.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And before we leave it right now, I just wanted to clear like a great message. All don't let the bad persons consume you, because you are grateful, you're blessed, you had the power of the punch, you had the power of grappling, because that happens all through all the MMA prospects coming there. You get onto the fight and you have to win no matter what happens, because in this fight right now, we all gonna win because you had to choose to fight, because there are some game plans that you need to take care about.
Yeah, well said. Let's get it. Thank you guys for watching. Have a blessed evening. We'll see you guys next week, I believe. Is there any fights that we should be concerned about this week? If not, the next week we'll review we'll preview the UFC 221, I believe, or 220.
Yeah, because
is Alex fighting next?
No, because on September 28th, there is UFC Fight Night between Carlos Ulber versus Dominic Reyes. Yeah,
Junior Hoffman's still fighting. They didn't even cut this guy yet. Oh my god.
Yeah. But I just wanted to tell you that even though some levels coming up there, but thank you very much, and of course, have a great night, have a great Tuesday. So we're probably gonna get back for the next episode of the Combat Club with Capitán Rafucho and Zenith. So salute to y'all, and of course,
Sterling's fighting on that court too.
Yeah.
Try to interrupt, Noche.
Oh, there you go. All right. So have a good one, folks. Salute to y'all. Let's get it.